You're listening to the Awks Talk podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Awks Talk with
Shohanul
and Jessica. It's just us two today. Sorry, it's been pretty hectic.
Yeah.
We're recording this late at night. It's hard to get babysitter and everyone's busy. But anyways, today I guess we're doing a little heavy subject. Talking about abusive relationships. So
yeah, I was we were discussing it, and I was already kind of triggered.
Yeah, so trigger warning, I guess, for
yeah
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about definitions, some signs, reasons why the victims, is that offensive to say? No, right?
Oh yeah, victims. Okay. That's what they are.
Survivors. I don't know, some people are but they changed the
terminology
term for rape victims
and
stuff.
No,
didn't they change it to something else?
You're a victim if you're in it, right? You're a survivor if you are post. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry for I don't know the PC.
You're a victim if you're in the process of being abused, right? You're the victim of a crime. You're still
gonna be the victim.
No, because look, think about it like this. While you have court cases going on, you're still the victim of a crime or whatever. Once the crime is finished and you don't have to go to court anymore, you become a survivor because the process is over.
The process, but the crime was still committed.
Yeah.
But you're still
a
survivor too.
Yeah, you're a survivor of the crime.
Anyways, whatever. Sorry.
I don't know
about that technicalities. And then any personal experiences we'll share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So the definition I have here from stoprelationshipabuse.org. Relationship abuse is a pattern of abuse and coercive behaviors used to maintain power and control over a former or current intimate partner. So I like that definition. It's basically manipulative and all that.
Yeah.
I think we're basically for this podcast we'll focus on more abusive. Less emotional, emotional abuse, less physical abuse. I don't know.
We can talk about physical. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just abuse is abuse, man.
It's true. Should I? Okay, I guess I'll just go through the signs of an abusive relationship according to reachout.com. Okay. Key signs of an abusive relationship: possessiveness, jealousy, putdowns, threats, physical and sexual violence. Pretty self-explanatory. Possessiveness, they're trying to control you and own you, and they're jealous. Yeah. Just jealous of other people. Even just complimenting you.
Really toxic? Oh, I guess what you're saying. Okay.
What do you mean?
I'm thinking, because I don't know. I would consider myself a pretty jealous person. But
no, well, obviously when it's
I get it when you're
excessive. There you go.
Excessive, yeah. When you're trying to control someone.
Yeah, a little. I think
through your jealousy, right?
I don't know. A little jealousy is probably healthy. Is that a thing I should say? I don't know. Because then it shows that you care, at least. But yeah, obviously when it gets to a point where it's I can't talk to another guy or a girl or whatever.
Actually, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Then they're what are you doing? Cheating on me? Blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Putdowns. Yeah, you don't want that because then it destroys your self-esteem. And then that's another thing where it's a reason why we'll get to later. The victim won't leave because they're too oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
So they stay in the relationship, and then threats. That's like, you're being crazy. More so physical and sexual violence. They push, shove, hit, or grab you, or make you have sex or do things you don't want to do. They harm you, your pets, or your family members. That's crazy. Harming your pets.
Man, I'm just thinking, like, because we have kids, imagine, like, someone having kids and you having to stay with someone because you're scared that they might do something abusive to your kids, kind of thing.
Yeah. So do you want to get into the reasons, since we're like touching on it a lot?
Yeah. So we have another article here, 11 reasons people in abusive relationships can't leave. I think we should kind of talk about each one a little bit before we move to the next one, but
yeah.
Society normalizes unhealthy behavior, so people may not understand that they're in abusive relationships. This one, all of these really hit home for me, just because there's like people I know or people around me that are in abusive relationships, and I can see it clearly. But the problem is when you're in it, you don't know, right? Because you're not kind of aware of it because you're blinded by either love or duty or whatever it is, but
yeah, in this case they're talking about society. So when it says they normalize it, I guess they can make it seem like just usual, like regular, and they're like, oh yeah. So that's basically it's hard for them to point out.
Well, the thing is, like, there are a lot of things that are normalized that are really abusive, right? Like women hitting men is a really normalized thing. Even just like punching on the arm, right? Like it's like friendly, kind, whatever. Like, oh, you're so like blah blah blah, and you punch someone in the arm, right? That's still abuse, right? And it can just get worse because we've kind of normalized that. Or even like things like normalizing the fact that when you get married, a wife is supposed to be this and a wife is supposed to be that. So women, feel like it's their duty to kind of be a good wife and they deserve all this, blah blah blah. And you get what I'm saying? That's why like they can't leave, because we've told, society kind of tells you, it's like, oh, if you want to be a good husband you have to do X, Y, and Z, or if you want to be a good wife you have to do X, Y, and Z, and things just get normalized, and
yeah. But for this it's just like, because society made it so normal, they just don't even see a reason to seek help, so they don't like identify it for themselves. Yeah. So it's like they don't even get to that point. Yeah,
like it's supposed to happen this way, kind of thing, right? That's the kind of mentality. Ugh. Anyways, number 2 is emotional abuse destroys your self-esteem, making it feel impossible to start fresh.
So I touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, this one's kind of like, I've been reading or watching a lot of things about narcissism, because I recognize there is someone in my life that is a narcissist. I just kind of couldn't put a pin on it, right? Or who it was, or like what the signs were. But I think this is something narcissists do a lot when you're in a relationship with a narcissist. They put you down, and they kind of say, like certain things to make you feel like you don't deserve someone else, or
they can't get
you them. Can't find someone else, right? Like, damn it, we have a fly in here.
Yeah,
sorry if it shows up on camera, but it's hot, we got an open window. Anyways, there's a certain example I wanted to use about this. It was something on the lines like, it's like, who are you gonna find that's better than me? It's like, or things like, you're never gonna find, X to ever do this for you, because no man will do this for you, or no woman will do this for you, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of thing. And then it's like you feel kind of trapped, even in the sense where it's like, it not just ruins your self-esteem, but it's like they implant this thing in your head to trap you, where it's like, I can't get someone else, there's no better life, this is the best life I can get, kind of thing. And that's what they do. And you're worth more, okay? Don't ever think different. The cycle of abuse. After every abusive incident comes makeup, honeymoon phase.
So basically, after like some abusive incident happens, they come to you and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, blah, blah, or like they just make these empty promises, or they just make you feel good and you're like, okay.
Well, it's not even that.
It's fine.
It's like there's a situation where, someone hit someone else and they were basically, crying in distress. And in the moment, it was like super stressful, right? And then afterwards, the person, the abuser or whatever, basically was like fine for like a week. He was like the perfect husband, boyfriend, whatever, the perfect person for a week. And then the same incident happened again. So it's like they take it to extremes and all that kind of stuff and then chill out for a while to make you feel like, oh, maybe it was just a one-time thing, or maybe I just did something that was really stupid, or they're usually not like that, they're such a good person, like these kind of thoughts creep into your mind during this honeymoon phase, and then it just happens again. You just gotta realize that people don't, like, okay, fine, sure, people change, but they don't change so fast, and the thing is, it's like, if he hits you or she hits you, whatever the case is, right, then that's already a line that's been crossed, and if you don't set a boundary, like this can't happen again or we're done kind of thing, then, that's what abusers do, right? They just keep pushing boundaries over and over and seeing what they can get away with, and yeah, that's the thing about that. It's really unfortunate that, like, if you don't stand up for yourself or like say something the first time and you let it go and let it happen, it just becomes a pattern, and especially who they do it in front of, like if
they do,
if it's in your house, your home and all that kind of stuff, but if they're willing to like put their hands on you or like even yell at you or abuse you emotionally in front of other people, like, and it hasn't gotten worse yet, it will get a lot worse. Because if they're not afraid to do that in front of people, or even kids, if they're not afraid to do it in front of people or kids, then, can just imagine how worse they're going to get when you're alone, So, that's...
sad reality.
Yeah, sad reality, man. Number 4 is, it's dangerous to leave, like, very dangerous.
Like, literally, it's like...
Yeah.
They're trapping you, right?
Yeah.
So, that's why in this case, you're talking about, it's life-threatening.
Yeah.
So, like, here it says, women are 70 times more likely to be killed in the weeks after leaving their abusive partner than at any other time during the relationship. That's crazy. 70 times?
Yeah. I honestly... Yo, honestly, if you're in an abusive relationship and you're trying to get out, you have to get the authorities involved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have to... Yeah, we're going to try to talk about that, too, of, like, basically an escape route.
Yeah.
It's kind of some ways to get out of an abusive relationship.
Number 5 is, it's not just hard to break up safely. It's also hard to escape the cycle of control. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the cycle of abuse too. Again, like I kind of said last episode, is I always like to be in control. So when I feel like I'm out of control, I'm very uncomfortable. And
yeah, so this one's just talking about basically they've maybe attempted to break up already, but it just doesn't stick. They doesn't follow through. There's like, oh, they're just gonna get back together again or whatever, right?
It's like a half-ass.
So same pattern. Yeah.
It's half-ass escape, right? I don't know. Escaping is like, I don't know. When you try and escape, obviously your abuser is gonna do everything they can to get you back, right? Say all the sweet things and say, okay, I'll be good for 2 months, and if I'm good, just take me back. But like I said, man, once they've crossed some sort of line, if they've already crossed that boundary, even if you set it, something I saw, sorry, this is going a little bit off topic, but it's very similar, about boundaries, is something I saw about when you first meet someone in a relationship, you should set simple boundaries, just to get to know someone. Like if you set a boundary like, please don't touch my nipple or while we're having sex or whatever, or like, please don't touch my hair because I don't like my hair touched, you know, or don't say these certain words to me because they trigger me or whatever, right? And they're not able to kind of follow those simple boundaries, right? These are easy, like set boundaries that are easy to follow. Easy. Like not touching you in a certain place is easy. He just has to not touch you there, right? If they can't respect your simple boundaries, later on in life they're going to have a harder time respecting boundaries that are harder to get to. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, recognizing these things early is also a good way of not getting into a, you know, abusive relationship too. You know, that's a little bit something I learned anyways. That's a trick or a tip. Number 6, society perpetuates a ride or die mindset. So I think this mostly has to do with marriage kind of thing, right? I don't know if this applies to.
Doesn't have to be marriage. It's just.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Basically, so it says pop culture glamorizes being a ride or die for your friends and partner, making people out to be in the wrong for leaving their partner.
Yeah.
And while being loyal is a great thing, a good friend or partner would never endanger or hurt you. So
that's true, I guess. Actually, you know, when we talk about relationships, we're not just talking about like husband and wife. And no, I've been thinking about that this whole time, right? No, we're also talking about like friendship, relationship, parental relationships, and stuff like that too. So
yeah, so this ties in kind of with our toxicity episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we wanted to get more factual about it because we were just kind of, I guess, doing our opinions that episode.
Well, that one was more about forgiveness, and we kind of just put in toxicity at the end. But yeah.
So basically, it's nice. The idea of ride or die is nice, but it's also kind of like extreme.
Yeah.
It's literally ride or die. So it's like, oh, if I'm not with you, then we're done, kind of thing. You know, it's just one and only. Well, like it's just it can get really unhealthy. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think the ride or die mindset is just more so it's like, no matter what they do, they'll always be in your life, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, a lot of times we get trapped in this idea that our family, more so like, you know, parents and brothers and sisters and all this kind of stuff, that they, you know, you're kind of born into your family and, you know, you kind of have to stay with them. But if they're toxic, and if that's a, you know, toxic relationship or abusive relationship, you should definitely get out. You know, like I'm sorry, but there's a saying, it's like the blood of the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, you know, saying that you know, I think it's the saying that people get wrong is blood is thicker than water, but that's actually a wrong statement.
Yeah, it's
the blood of the covenant, which is the people you choose to have around you, is stronger than the water of your womb, you know, so like your family. And I think that's completely true. I think honestly, like, you choose your family, you get that power, and you should have that power to choose your family, you know, like, yeah. Okay, number 7, they feel personally responsible for their partner or their behavior. So I think this has a lot to do with like gaslighting, you know, like when you gaslight someone and then they feel like it's their fault. Like I mean a great example when it comes to like relationships or whatever, it's like I start yelling, I'm like, yo, why are you doing this? And then you get really upset, and then I get calm, like, why are you yelling? You know, kind of, that's like just kind of gaslighting you, you know, like
like guilt tripping you.
No, there's a great, like, okay, another example, maybe that was a bad example.
I don't really know what gaslighting is.
Well, gaslighting is like this. It's like, say I trigger you and you get really upset, and I'm just being very, very calm, and I'm still continuously triggering you, and you're just getting
So you're
more
provoking me,
yeah,
basically.
basically,
Okay.
and I'm just continuously pressing your buttons, and you're just getting more and more triggered and hysterical, and then I'm just calm. And usually when people gaslight other people, they pretend that they're the abusers, like you're being hysterical and crazy,
And you pretend they're being the victim.
and then the person that's being calm, like, I mean, I've seen so many videos of where, you know, someone will be in the washroom, they'll have the doors locked, and then their wife or husband will be outside kind of yelling and screaming like blah 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 blah, all this kind of stuff. And yeah, that person, I don't like, it's weird to say, because then the person that's calm is like, yo, look at this crazy ass girl, you know, all this kind of stuff, when they're the the calm person is actually the abuser. You know, it's not the person that's hysterical. They're the victim. They're the one that are being played. They're the ones that are like being emotionally triggered, and you know, usually the abuser knows what triggers you, you know. Yeah, things like that. That's what gaslighting is, anyway, if you didn't know.
Yeah, I've always heard that term, but I never was really clear. But it doesn't make sense in the word. It's like literally like adding fuel to the fire. Anyways, after conflict, an abuser will turn the situation around and make their partner feel guilty or as though they are somehow at fault.
Yeah. Number 8. They believe that if they stick it out, things might change.
Same idea.
Yeah.
As before.
I've always believed in patterns, man. Like, I don't judge people. I just notice patterns more so. And if somebody has a pattern of doing something over and over and over, that's who they are, you know. And sometimes it might be harsh to call them out on it or to say it, but that's who they are as a person if they continuously do something over and over and over, you know. I get a simple example. If someone's late all the time, you know, they're a tardy person. They're late. You know, a late person. It's not going to change, right? But
yeah, so basically they believe, well, it's sad because they do, most times I would hope that they love their partner, and they just believe that things will change. So
yeah,
the advice here is never stay in a relationship in which you count on someone to change their behavior for the better. You're supposed to, you know, when you're with someone, whether it be like in a romantic relationship or like even a friendship, you should accept them for who they are. Like,
yeah,
basically kind of take it at face value.
Yeah.
You forgive like
Minor things.
Yeah, like, but if their true self is horrible, and you can't deal with that, you shouldn't be expecting them, oh yeah, they're just gonna change, or
Yeah.
you can't just go on with like wishful thinking,
Yeah.
because it's not good for your mentality either. You're
Mhm.
just gonna keep hoping, and then it will never come, and you'll always be disappointed, and yeah, it'll just be let down all the time. So why be in that when you can try to get out?
Yeah. I agree. There is a social pressure to be in a perfect relationship.
These seems kind of like repeats,
They all
but they all
kind of
have they have a
connect.
different they all have a different like twist when you actually read the description on here.
Yeah.
So this one says there is incredible pressure to be in a perfect relationship, and some cultures and social media only accentuate this pressure.
Yeah. Relationship goals.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Number 10 is fear of how others will react.
I think that's pretty like one of the common ones. Like when you think about
Yeah.
an abusive relationship, you're like, oh, I'm just scared of like, you're basically
Yeah, what your family's gonna think, what this person's gonna think. But at the end of the day, it's all about what you think and how you feel, not about everyone else. I mean, I kind of went over this on the last episode when I was talking about starting new things and the fear of other people, right? Like the fear of judgment and shame and all that kind of stuff is a pretty big thing in anything, really. Like, I don't know why, we've all been kind of bred to kind of care what other people think, and we hold other people's opinion to such a high standard when really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
it's really hard. Like, I battle with it a lot. Like, that's a lot of me. I don't, I'm always like scared of doing things because of like appearance of, and it's your own inner battle. It's not even like no one else cares really. If you just let that fear go, then you're fine. No one's looking at you. But yeah, it's just so this like just basically people feel embarrassed to admit that their partner is abusive for fear of being judged, blamed, marginalized, pitied, or looked down on.
Yeah. I don't know, it's really weird. For this fact, it's like we're very opposite when it comes to that.
What? Caring what people think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very like embarrassing, I would say, for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to do like a siblings episode when we have like Shia here, just because like I think it's whenever I think of people, I actually think that their traits, their personalities, whatever, it all has to do with like if they have siblings or not, or what kind of siblings they have, because it affects them. I think it affects people a lot, like because you're the oldest and I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you're the oldest, all you have is yourself most of the time, and you already have that responsibility.
You grow up
and you grow faster. You just grow up like being you, and it doesn't matter, But like when you're little, like when you're the youngest.
No, when you're the oldest, you don't grow up as you. Well, what do you mean by you?
Just yourself. Like, you're not like.
You mean like personality trait?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So I'm saying like
I start the trend of personality.
Yeah. So I'm saying like for like maybe the middle child will.
Yeah.
Try to copy the oldest or whoever the youngest.
Like, because for me, it's like, like my brother and my sister, they have a lot of my traits, right? And like when I look at you or talk about you, you have a lot of Linda's traits. I never say stuff like, oh, Linda does this thing that you do, but it's because she was born first. I mean, she had the trait first.
Yeah. I guess so, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So I was like, that's an interesting episode I want to do later.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So it's just
let us know if you want to hear that episode.
We're doing it anyways, but we're gonna. I guess we'll ask questions on. I'll do a poll of
episode ideas.
Who's like the oldest, youngest, only child, blah blah. Yeah. Anyways, last reason why they can't just leave.
They share a life together, and I think this is probably the biggest one. Where it's like when someone's your parent, or again, brother, like family, or if you have kids together or you're married, that's a huge. There's 2 flies in here now. That's a huge reason to not, like that. It makes it so much harder to break up, when you have a partner, and when you have kids, or if someone's your parent or stuff like that, right? Like, I feel like, go ahead.
This is the most complicated one.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, if you're dealing with kids, any other family members, or whatever.
Live together and all that stuff.
Yeah, live together. You gotta deal with finances, have a house together, have a pet together, anything. It just gets harder to leave because you gotta deal with all the stuff. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna stay. I don't want to change my address. I don't want to change. Blah blah blah. Like, a hindrance.
It's really weird because like reading some of these things, I feel like I've done at least one of these things to you.
For what?
I think which one was it? I think it's the one where it's like the self-esteem one, destroying your self-esteem, or like making it impossible to start fresh. I think I've said to you before, it's like, it's like, I don't think you're ever gonna find a man that does all the stuff I do for you. Haven't I said that before?
Yes, I know. Okay.
Yeah.
Move on.
No, I know, but no, I'm just reiterating because as we have a new cut. But it's like, just thinking about that makes me feel bad because like I've always kind of always tried to bring your self-esteem up. You know, like I feel like from when we first met to right now, you're obviously a completely different person, you know, but I feel like you're more of a confident person and a lot more outgoing than you used to be, you know. So I don't know, I've always just tried to make sure, you know, to bring you up. And it's just sad to read that part where it's like making it impossible to feel like you get a fresh start, and to know that I've kind of said something like that to you. I'm sorry, you know, if anything.
I'm sorry too.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you. But don't worry. There's I think there's like always little things in every relationship, but if you talk it out, realize that it's wrong, and not like deny it or whatever, then you can work it out. But they have to be willing to actually want to help themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I think something that you and I have been really good at is being open to listen to the other person, you know? And I think that's probably why, you know, we're still going strong. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah.
So signs that your abuser is not changing. So look out for these, and you know, to help you figure out that you should leave. They all start with he, so but if it goes for she, then just saying. He minimizes the abuse or denies how serious it really was. He continues to blame others for his behavior.
Why don't you just say hey?
I guess so. They claim that you're the one who is abusive. They pressure you to go to couples counseling. What?
Yeah. A lot of times, abusers will mask wanting to get better with finding outside help. So it's like, hey, why don't we go get... But they're not really serious about it, right?
Tricks,
they're just
tricks. I've never heard that before. They tell you that you owe him another chance. You have to push them to stay in treatment. They say that he can't change unless you stay with him and support him. It's a good trap. They try to get sympathy from you, your children, or your family and friends. Oh, that sucks too. They expect something from you in exchange for getting help. They pressure you to make decisions about the relationship. What? I don't really get that last one, but yes. All very toxic.
Yeah.
But there you go. And we want to try to do something like, I guess, some help.
Some tips.
Tips, there we go. I was like, what am I saying? On how to get out. Based on, this is helpguide.org. Safety planning for abused women, in this case. Here it says, know your abuser's red flags. So stay alert for signs and clues that your abuser is getting upset and may explode in anger or violence. I think that's over time, or being in that relationship, you pick up on things of when they're gonna
I think like once you start to recognize that you have an abuser, then it's like you start to notice things, and
all the triggers and all that. They're like, oh yeah, they're gonna beat me now or something, whatever, right? So in that case, come up with several believable reasons you can use to leave the house, both during the day and at night, if you sense trouble brewing. Second one here is identify safe areas of the house. Know where to go if your abuser attacks or an argument starts. Avoid small enclosed spaces without exits, such as closets or bathrooms, or rooms with weapons, such as the kitchen. If possible, head for a room with a phone and an outside door or window. I guess we should point out, there's it's not always easy. Like, these are tips, but it might not work for everyone just because we don't know how extreme or difficult the situation is. Like, some people, they could be like, I don't know, someone who's like home all the time or whatever it is, but do your best. Because they can't be with you 24/7.
Yeah.
Like, still, like, they gotta sleep, they gotta do something, they gotta
Yeah.
eat. It's hard, but I think
like,
there's some
if you have
downtime,
kids
hopefully.
and that aren't living with you, say you're going to your kid's house for a visit, if you know something's coming or whatever, and I don't know, man, just
it's hard.
makes me so sad. But yeah, just call 911, man. I know it's, you know what, the most, the most, and the thing is, it's like calling 911. I read a statistic. It was like calling 911. Most of the time, if you say nothing's wrong and you've called 911,
they're gonna believe your
partner, like okay, a lot of times what happens is the victim will call 911 out of fear or whatever. The police will come, the abuse will happen, and then the victim will tell the cops, "Oh, nothing's wrong.
Yeah,
I'm sorry."
like they'll backpedal, I guess.
Yeah, because they're too scared or something happens, and then the thing that happens is right after you've called 911,
they're even angrier.
Yeah. So like, if you're a neighbor, honestly, I'm gonna give you some advice too. If you're a neighbor or someone that knows something, do not call 911 on that person, because if they're not ready to move out,
like if they don't have an escape,
that's gonna trigger the abuser, and they're just for it that night.
Yeah, it's gonna make things worse.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really hard as the only thing you can do as a friend or as a neighbor or whatever it is, or somebody that's, I guess apartment neighbors are still neighbors, but it's, like, if you know something's happening, talk to the person, talk to the victim, get them to admit to the authorities that this is happening, because, and I understand the whole situation where it's like, when you try and escape, 70% of, was it 70% of women, or 70% of the time it leads to murder?
What, the stat I just read?
Yeah.
70 times, no, just in the weeks after they've
70%, right,
are killed.
Yeah. So like, that's the thing, it's like, that's why if you're gonna break up with an abuser, I didn't know that, and that's crazy. If you're gonna break up, because I mean, the thing is, it's like, and like, I can see it, right, too. It's like, a lot of times these people that are abusing are usually using you too, right? So you're usually paying the bills, or you're the breadwinner, or whatever it is. I'm talking about, women here. Abuser will get you to work and everything, and they'll just sit around doing nothing, triggering you all the time, and then once you leave and they have nothing, what more in the world do they have than, just ending your life kind of thing. It's like
it's that,
if I can't
thing,
have you, no one can, right? Kind of mindset. And that's so sad. That's why, like, if you know you're in an abusive relationship or whatever it is, man, like, get the authorities involved, get restraining orders, all that kind of stuff. Don't take any chances with your life. It's important.
Yeah, so what you said about the neighbors, this one adds up. It's like, come up with a code word. So establish a word, phrase, or signal you can use to let your children, friends, neighbors, or coworkers know that you're in danger and they should call the police. So that's good. And then this is for an escape plan. So be ready to leave at a moment's notice. Basically, pack your things, make sure everything's good, cash, clothing, all that, and make sure it's stashed in a safe place somewhere else, hopefully. And then practice escaping quickly and safely. Oh, that's interesting. Practice is good.
Yeah.
Rehearse your escape plan so you know exactly what to do if under attack from your abuser. If you have children, make sure they practice the escape plan too.
Yeah.
Make and memorize a list of emergency contacts. Ask several trusted individuals if you can contact them if you need a ride, a place to stay, or help contact the police.
Yeah.
Memorize the numbers of your emergency contacts, local shelter, and domestic violence hotline. Yes. Professional authorities and all that.
But yeah, I mean, like, the thing is like, sometimes when you're at home and you're trapped, sometimes it's good to have that outside kind of someone watching out for you, you know, like especially if you have a neighbor that's always listening, you know, like I don't know, maybe you have thin walls and the person next door can hear and they tell you, hey, are you okay? I can always hear you guys, you know, put a keyword, like if I say this certain word over and over and over and you hear it, please call 911 for me, you know, like because a lot of times you're not going to be able to get to the phone. Your abuser might swipe it out of your hand, or it might be in the other room or something, but you can always yell a certain word, right? Because a lot of times, you know, and this is really unfortunate that we live in this world, just screaming for help is not enough. You know, a lot of times you scream for help and no one will do anything because they don't want to get involved, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, like establish something with someone near you, someone that can always kind of listen, or, you know, that way at least that'll be part of your exit strategy, you know, screaming those words. Maybe they call the cops come, and, you know, then you're good.
So protecting yourself after you've left, to keep your location a secret, get a prepaid mobile, like burner phone, or an unlisted landline. Use a post office box rather than your home address. This is in the US. Apply to your state's address confidentiality program, a service that confidentially forwards your mail to your home. Cancel your old bank accounts and credit cards, especially if you share them with your abuser. When you open new accounts, be sure to use a different bank. So just change up your routine, do things differently, make sure you change all your stuff, and then, as you said, get a restraining order, and then you know, seek all the legal help, the counseling, your shelters, support groups, services for your children, employment programs. There's a lot of financial
of times, like depending on where you work, there places should be willing, or, you know, will usually allow you to relocate, you know. Like I'm talking about like McDonald's, or like, you know, for us, Canadian Tire, right? Like if I work at a certain Canadian Tire and, you know, Jessica was my abuser or something and I needed to leave, I'm sure I could get help in working for another Canadian Tire, right? So that you wouldn't know where I worked, you know, because that'd be an easy way for you to get to me, right?
Yeah, but like you shouldn't be going to the same company at all. Remember, you change up everything.
So like quit your job and stuff. Well, I guess that's what the employment help thing is for, but
I don't know. Sorry. Maybe you can if you're far away.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I don't know. Yeah. And like the thing is, like when I think of situations like in rural areas too, like places where there's like no one, you know,
it's even
like
scary.
because we're in the city, so it's like there's a lot of people here, and like imagine those areas and like how much worse it is to feel trapped over there. Because man, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, there's this movie I always think of. It's so good. Enough. It's an older movie. You need to watch it.
The name's Enough.
Yeah, the name of the movie's Enough. So Jennifer Lopez, and basically it's this whole movie where she met a guy, and then they like soon, I guess, got married, and then like obviously everything was nice, blah blah. They had a kid, like a girl, and then I guess she just started realizing obviously that he was possessive and abusive, and the whole movie is basically like her trying to get out. So she makes this whole like escape thing, and it's a good movie. I don't want to spoil it, but like,
I mean, when did it come out?
It's empowering. It was like, I don't know, man, but I like it.
Yeah, it's when
Jennifer
Jennifer Lopez was making movies.
Yeah, I imagine 90s or 2000s, probably 2000s.
So if you haven't watched it by now,
but you should, because I used to see it on TV, and I'm like, it's so empowering, but it's just so scary because it's like, I don't want to spoil it, but like it's empowering though. It's like, but it's like, I'm not sure if it's realistic. That's why it's kind of sad. So
I don't know if I would take advice from a movie, but
but I'm saying it's just, it's a good movie. I liked it because it was like, you know, And there's always like media, like social media stuff talking about, we were talking about like neighbors. Like I forgot what, there was probably a movie or show about that. Like the neighbors were trying to like help the victim, like kind of secretly, but they couldn't really do anything because, you know, as we said, they just, when authorities did come, they just say, oh, never mind, kind of thing, right? Yeah. I guess we'll move on to some kind of little personal experience portion of this episode.
Okay, fine.
Well, it's not to be long. Just any people you know, or.
Well, I kind of mentioned it throughout when I was talking about someone, like a couple that I do know that are close to me and stuff. I don't want to say like my relationship to them, but you know, they're definitely in an abusive relationship, and the problem is that right now they're in that honeymoon stage, right, where he did something so bad, right? Like them as a couple basically went on a trip. I'll tell a little bit of the story, I guess. They went on a trip and he did something that was like really bad. I don't think it was anything physical, but it was more emotional, right? Like cussing her out and all that kind of stuff. And she cried, and they were really far away, so she got her son to come pick her up and bring her all the way back to her house or whatever, right? And that's like, that happened, and now, you know, they went through like a week of like kind of, not like, I wouldn't even say arguing, but like basically like in the process of separation. And then now they both had an ultimatum or something, and then he proposed, oh, we should be together for like, just give me 2 months, and if I change, you know, then you have to keep me forever or whatever, and if you don't think I've changed in 2 months, then I'll just leave forever, right? But the thing is like, how easy is it to just be on your best behavior for 2 months? It's not that hard, you know. Oh, I just have to wait 2 months and then I can go back to my ways.
Free.
Yeah, it's like, no, man. It's like, and then it's like, you know, just that relationship in general is just, it's so toxic, and it's so sad because she's very like weary of other people's judgment. And it's also like the whole idea behind like they've been married for so long or whatever, you know. I think that's what she says. And then she's like, yeah, I've been married for so long, you know, like I've been trying to change him, or like he was good before, but like blah blah blah, I just want him to get back to how he used to be, you know.
Yeah, can't dwell on that.
And then it's just like, man, like again, like it's like patterns, you know. Like if someone does something once, right, it's like, okay, fine, maybe they made a mistake, you know, and it's okay to give people second chances, depending on what it is, obviously, but and what your boundaries are and how set you are with your boundaries or how strict you are. But you know, if someone does something once, it could always be a mistake, you know. You can't judge somebody off of one action. But if they do the same action multiple times, you know, and it just becomes a pattern, because remember, once someone passes one of your boundaries and there's no consequence to it, then they can just do it again and they know there's not going to be any consequence, so they don't even fear going over these boundaries the second time, you know. And it's like, it's just sad because she's like in that limbo state where it's like she's now in that honeymoon stage where he's being the perfect husband, you know, he's being a good guy, and you know, he's also an alcoholic, and that's where the majority of their problems happen, right? So yeah, it's just, you know, really sad. Like, I mean, I give her as much advice as I can, you know, but at the same time, it's like, it's hard when they're not willing to listen to your advice, you know. Like that's one of the major problems, right? When you're kind of in that advice role or that neighbor role, right? Because that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in that neighbor role with this person, and it's kind of like I can give them all the advice I want, but if they don't take, like, I can't call the cops, right? Like, nobody around them can call the cops. She has to take those steps. And now that you've told me about this whole like 70%, I'm like even more fearful now. So yeah.
Yeah. I thought I was gonna say something.
Yeah, but that's I mean that's my thing, but I don't know. I don't know if I've had like abusive or like a toxic friendship, you know, because like for me personally, like, and I know this is kind of bad, but like I've always been really kind of okay to walk away from friends, you know, like because I've always thought family was more important, and like whatever, as long as I have my family, I'm okay, right? And like if you are like my friend, or if I consider you a friend, I consider you family, you know, for me personally. So it's like that's why it hurts so much more if you know, for one of my friends or someone that I consider family, basically, right, betrays me or does something, right?
I don't know. When basically I've talked about this, but off podcast, apparently.
Yeah, she talked to me about this.
But I didn't realize it until like this year. Is it this year that we're talking about it? I don't know.
Well,
I feel like it was really like pretty recent, where I was like,
okay.
oh my gosh, I was like in a real like toxic relationship and I didn't know it. I mean, like, you think when you said, well, I think, okay, basically whenever when you said it, I didn't believe you, because you always had this image that I was like this like good girl, like I was a lot happier or something before my ex and all this stuff. Like, I think you made me seem like I was like very different, and then after that I was like messed up and whatever, like I changed. Well, that's why I didn't take
like,
your
your
opinion with that, because I was like, okay, whatever, right? But when I realized it myself, it's a whole different thing, right? Because I was like thinking of like the patterns, because we were talking about, I guess it did come up in the toxic, it must have been that time we were talking about toxic relationships or something, and I was like reading the signs or like whatever, right? And I was like, wow, it's pretty bad. Like, I mean, like, just when I think of incidents, like there are incidents that I probably don't even remember, which is sad. I think I mentioned it to you. There are incidents that I probably don't remember now that were probably pretty bad. Like, I feel like I vaguely remember him actually hitting me or choking me or something. Like, they're just things like that I don't even remember anymore. So it's like, I don't know if he's gonna listen to this. It's weird, but
whatever. If I ever see him,
no, but like,
you better not come in front of Jessica. That's
no, but like, obviously there's like the one incident basically I think of is when we were at a party. It was at this guy's house, and it was like a house party. So we were just whatever, we were like drinking and like chilling, blah blah blah, and then like there were randoms there, whatever, house party, right? And then I was sitting on a couch next to the people we came there with, our friends, and he got upset. I think he was like jealous, or like he was just upset. Like, I guess we were like fighting that night, I think, or like arguing, but like not really. I don't remember what it was about. But anyways, so he literally like pulled me off the couch, because I was sitting next to someone, and I was like, he literally pulled me off the couch. So he dragged me. I fell with my legs, so I fell onto the floor. I don't think it hurt. That's not the point, but yeah, so it's just embarrassing. So they dragged me off the floor out of my seat, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, it's just so embarrassing. That's why I remember, because obviously I'm
traumatizing,
embarrassive person. Easily embarrassed person. So yeah, that's an incident I remember. But in terms of like more extreme, I guess, toxicity, was like, he used to say like he's like suicidal and all that, and like,
well, that's
part
of the entrapment, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm not gonna just say, just because people think they're suicidal, that you're not really suicidal. I'm not gonna say that, obviously.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like he said, "Oh, if you leave me, I'm gonna kill myself." Kind of
yeah,
thing,
that was the crazy thing. And I was like,
I mean, in those situations, how do you become a bad person and say, "Okay, that's"? But I mean, the thing is, too, it's like it's crazy now. He's basically putting the responsibility of his life on you.
Yeah. Like,
and that's a tough one. I don't know.
Yeah, and like, just think, I have the worst memory, and I hate that, but Okay, not the worst, but like in terms of like experiences and like just the little things, whatever, right? So I don't actually, I feel like he did say that though. It's like, if, you know, if we broke up and like kill myself or whatever, like it sounds so extreme. And like, that's just, it's
Yeah.
not something you want to hear
Yeah.
if you're like in like a argument or whatever it is, right? But there was a for sure incident where it's like he supposedly took rat poison. He's like, oh, I just went and like ate rat poison or whatever. And then he met up with me or whatever. And then he was like trying to throw up, and I was like trying to make him throw up, because I was like, I obviously don't know how that works. So I'm like,
Yeah.
so if you eat rat poison, you
She
die.
was in high school, by the way.
Yeah. No. I was like, well, like I just left high school, so it was like university.
Like 19 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Because I met you when you were 20. So.
Yeah. So it's just really messed up when you say things out loud like this. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. And so like, I think we basically talked about it with our friend like Letitia. So that's probably when I realized, I was like, oh my God, this is pretty bad. Like all these thoughts in my head, or like memories that are not sure are real memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
I don't know if I want to say this, but like, you know what's really sad is that like when we broke up, i.e. we did break up once, it's like you were gonna go back to him.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like the things
you
don't
guys,
realize when you're in. That's what I'm saying. It's like when you're in it, you're so blind to it, and it's not even like that. It's like normalized or whatever. It's because a lot of times you're just blinded by love or trust or hope.
Yeah.
You know, it's like all these things. I think something I remember, and yeah, no, this is toxic, but I think it's something I remember is someone saying a situation, right? So he was in a group, and it was the group he was in, it was like a business group, and it's unrelated to what we were talking about, but he basically said, hey, I'm kind of going through something right now. And then the instructor was like, let's talk about it, right? What are you going through, right? And then he's like, oh,
seems inappropriate, but
it was kind of inappropriate, but it's, you know, you go through shit, you know, you don't know you're hurting, whatever, right? But it's kind of like basically his girlfriend cheated on him with, it was a roommate of 3 people. Let me just get that out of the way, okay? It was him, his girlfriend, and his roommate, which was another guy. So his girlfriend cheated on him with his roommate. So they're all in the same house. And so now his girlfriend, or his ex-girlfriend, was still living in the same house, but with the roommate.
The other guy now.
And so now he's still living there, paying rent and all that kind of stuff.
That's why you leave.
And no, but the thing is, he's so confused because he loves her and he still wants to get back with her and he still thinks there's a chance. And he doesn't even process the idea of leaving. It's not until the instructor was like, dude, you need to leave. That's toxic as fuck. Like, that's like, you like maybe you guys get back together, whatever, but just being in that house is not good for you. But like for him, he was so blinded by hope and like all this other kind of things, like the woulda, coulda, shouldas that he didn't even think of. And then he broke down once he realized someone, you know, the instructor was someone he really respected or whatever, right? So he like started crying because he's like, he just realized that, you know, the breakup kind of just hit him. You know, it didn't even hit them when she cheated or started sleeping in the other room, the roommate, none of that stuff. Like that's why it's like hope is
dangerous.
Hope is so dangerous. It's like one of those things that's like, yeah, it's just, and that's the problem with these abusive relationships, right? It's just, you fill yourself with all this hope because, you know, no one wants to think negative, right? People want to hope that, man, I don't ever want to be divorced, but I hope this works out. Let's just hope, right? And then, you know, just, yeah, man, sometimes it's not meant to be. And, you know, like, I don't know, man, like, I hate this phrase because it's used too much, but there are other fish in the sea. Like, you'll find something better. Trust me, there's something better than somebody abusing you, manipulating you, telling you you're worthless, and all that kind of shit. There's something better than that. There's always going to be something better than that. Whether you find that in a friend, whether you find that in family, whether you find that outside of family, whatever it is, there's always going to be something better than that. It's like putting all your eggs in one basket and hoping that basket will change or whatever. It's like continuously putting eggs in a basket with a hole in it.
Mm-hmm.
Your eggs keep falling out, but you still continue putting eggs in the basket because you hope that one of the eggs will be big enough to plug that hole, or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe that hole will slowly heal itself and get smaller. I'm just saying, but all your eggs are breaking.
Another thing to remember, forgot to mention, it's like basically it's always a thing where it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
I'm talking to the abused.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself, because that's just easy to do. Anyways, have the courage to leave.
Yeah.
Seek the resources you need to get out safely. And we're gonna end here because our baby's crying and might wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram.
Be safe.
Yes, follow us, subscribe, like, comment, leave a rating, review, 5 stars.
Quick, she's crying.
Apple stuff. iTunes. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.
Okay, bye.